Look, everybody, I sold 5 teaspoons for $30. So this is my what sold video. We are going to talk about what sold in my reselling business from September 29th through October 1st. And we're starting off with eBay. As I just said, I sold some flatware. Now, I don't know if you're like me. I've talked about this before in my channel, but I tend to focus on certain niches and I kind of jump around quite a bit. And flatware was definitely one of those niches one of those categories that I focused on several years ago. My eBay store was, I would say, maybe 75% flatware, maybe a little bit less. I think my store description still talks about all the flatware that I sell. So I should probably edit that because I do a lot more, I do a lot of different things. Anyway, so I do still dabble in it. I still look at the flatware because I have a lot of knowledge about it. I've done a couple videos. If you want to go ahead and look in my my playlist about what to sell, there's a few about stainless flatware and how to do that and everything. So I definitely still keep an eye out. I still have a backlog like crazy. So Mr. Pish Posh has said that one of his projects for like this winter is to kind of attack some of those bins of flatware. Some of it is just kind of bread and butter. A lot of it, some of it is vintage, not necessarily a specific brand, but still vintage flatware that people are looking for. So anyway, that is the plan. So in the meantime, anytime one of my flatware listings sells, it makes me super excited. Makes me want to sell more flatware. So I'm just checking on my phone. Like I've said before, the prices will show more accurately on my phone, and so I will double check. So I was wrong. I sold these for $21. And as you can see, I have 2 sets of 5. This is Oneida. Oneida is pretty much a safe bet as far as reselling flatware. So it was definitely the top brand that I would pick. If I could only pick one brand of flatware to sell, it would be Oneida. So like I said, that sold for $21. That was an offer. The next one is a very interesting little piece that I picked up. It was just sitting on the shelf at my little local outlet, bins kind of place, clearance center. And it did have some condition issues. It was a little chippy around the bottom, but it was because it was at the bins and I pay less than pennies for stuff there, especially if I get a lot of stuff. I didn't worry about it too much. I knew it was interesting enough to grab it. So it ended up being Rosenthal. It's lead crystal. The head is like a Medusa head. And they come in all different colors. So this one was orange. Some of the, I don't remember if it was flashing or just the color on it was not so great anymore. But anyway, the buyer paid $28.99 for this, which was awesome considering the low cost of goods that I had. And there you go. You can see the mark. It says Rosenthal and then Versace. So very exciting little find there. $28.99. The feedback I got from the buyer that it was just what she was looking for. So makes me happy. This was one of my husband's finds. He picked this up one of our last, in the last month we've had to travel a little bit to a town a couple hours from us. And we hit kind of little mom and pop thrift stores. And this is one of the things that he picked up for $1. Again, didn't sell for the full $28.99, but it did sell for $20. It's an Apple Watch. It's a sport band in a certain color. And we kind of negotiated back and forth with the buyer, and she asked if we would do $20. She wanted to pay about $25 total. So with the shipping, we went down to 20, and so then that worked. And she said this was something about it was discontinued, whether it was the color or the size or something like that. Okay, next up is a belt, another find. I'm pretty sure I picked this one up also at our little clearance center because it's an okay brand. It's Johnston and Murphy. They make, shoes. And probably other things, but was this just the brown one? Yeah, this wasn't the kind that's reversible. The two-tone what I was looking at is what's on the belt. So 2 different colors there. There was a little bit of fading of the gold color. So I believe we took an offer of that one on that one also, $22. And again, I paid, less than $1 for that. Now, speaking of my little clearance center, this was super interesting. I found this there because ever since I did my picture frame video about what picture frames to sell, I am always looking in that section, and I'm gathering up to make different lots, and I'm going to put one of those together here pretty soon. But this was so interesting because the frames and then the things that are in the frames, frame pictures and everything are in the same little corner. So I come across this. It's the poem If by Rudyard Kipling, if you've ever heard it before. But I liked how the paper was like gold leaf on it, kind of like an illuminated manuscript, if that makes sense. And I just thought it was really pretty. And then I looked down, it did have, so here's the back, you can see definitely very vintage. Lovely wooden frame, and then here it is. So it was copyright 1910 by Rudyard Kipling, Doubleday, Page and Company Publishers, all rights reserved, distributed by the Buzza Company of Minneapolis. So if you look up the Buzza Company, they sell these framed, illustrated poems and wall hangings and things like this, and they were selling like really well. And so I was just super excited because I just picked it up kind of on a whim. I thought, a lot of people like that poem, and it was just a really pretty print of the poem, and you could tell it was old. And like I said, at that sourcing spot, I'm not paying a whole lot, so it's worth the gamble. Well, the gamble paid off to the tune of $40 plus shipping, so I was super excited about that one. Vintage Eddie Bauer premium goose down puffer vest. I'll show you the tag. You can tell it's vintage just by looking at it. And it was made in China. We're talking vintage as in, Y2K kind of thing, 90s Y2K. But, I'll pick up pretty much anything that's down. It doesn't really matter the brand too much. And there are people who collect vintage Eddie Bauer. This one did take a while. And you can see the $100 was crossed off. And we accepted half of that, $50. So still not bad of a price, though. I don't think there was anything really wrong with it. And then if you remember this one from my last video, well, not this one, but this was on the thumbnail of my last What Sold video. And the difference was the 2 marbles were both cobalt blue. And so that one sold for $50. So this one sold for $40. It had the 2 marbles were not matching in color, but it still did the same thing. It's a razor blade sharpening tool. So if you ever see these, they are worth $40 to $50. And I have a feeling it would be one of those things that's totally overlooked by other shoppers, by maybe estate people, things like that. Now the next one is a lesson that I learned to look up everything, because I sell cross-stitch kits when I find them. I sell sewing patterns, things like that. Well, a lot of the home decor sewing patterns don't sell super great. And in the past, I've looked up kits like this. A lot of times they're tablecloths or they're napkins, and I just take a look at it and I'm just like, yeah, nobody wants those, because I've looked them up in the past and they weren't worth much. But then so I saw this sitting on the shelf. It was $2, and I thought, oh no, that's one of those, home decor quilt kits, whatever, forget it. Well, then something like hit me in my brain. And I remember seeing someone on Instagram post their sold of something very similar to this. And I thought, you know what, you better double check it. So I looked it up. I couldn't believe the prices. And there had only been a couple listed recently, and they were both sold. And I don't think that there were any available at the moment. So I was like, well, $2, forget it. So I took that and I listed it for $50, and it sold the same day. So definitely a lesson to me to just kind of double check things. Don't always go by, there's a certain amount of going by your gut that sometimes we have to do. But see, my gut would have been wrong. So fortunately, I look at things like this. I look at what sold on Instagram, and I look at what sold videos on YouTube, and sometimes these things stick in my head. I'll try to sit still. I'm very antsy right now. I'm very tired. I have a sick child, and I am determined not to become sick as well. So I hope all you guys are healthy and not going into this lovely fall weather with sickness around you. Next up was another fast sale. This was something I just picked up. I believe it was at Goodwill. It's by the North Face, but if you look at the embroidery on the side, it says Space and Missile Engineering, and then at the bottom it was Lockheed Martin. So just kind of a corporate jacket. But I just thought the subject matter would be something that somebody would be interested in. And it sold, actually, my husband listed it, same thing, sold the same day for $45. And then same thing. So he listed that and then this jacket at the same time. Now, I picked up this jacket at Goodwill. The brand is called Proper, Propper. And it is like technical, tactical type clothing, kind of military styles, and I just want to say not all Proper clothing by them is going to be worth a whole lot of money. So I had picked up this jacket, but we didn't list it right away, but I had in the store looked up the fact that it said Adventure Tech series by Proper. So I had looked those up, and the selling prices on those seemed fairly good. It seemed worth it. So that's why I brought the jacket home for like $7. And then it sat, we didn't get around to listing it. My husband went to go list it. And in the meantime, we had bought a pair of pants that were by Proper that were new with tags, but we only paid $5. And so I think my husband in his head was like, oh yeah, Proper, that's a good brand. Like he had heard of it. And so I just was like, so he goes to list it and he's like, I was looking at that brand and it's not that great. And I was like, I know. I said, but you have to look up the Adventure Tech stuff, right? So he couldn't find one exactly like this. Let me go back to it. So he just, I told him, I said, it'll probably be like a $35, $40 jacket. That's good enough for me. So he listed it for $50. And we were totally expecting to send offers or take offers or whatever. And it sold like within a couple hours for the full asking $50. So it did much better than he expected. But, I was happy that I didn't end up wasting, that I didn't bring something home that wasn't worth it after all. So those two jackets were listed and sold like in the same day. So that always makes my husband super happy. He's coming from the background of not, he's been reselling a long time, but he also has his own business, and it's very straightforward as far as, you do the work and then you get paid. You do the work, you get paid, right? Like most operations in the world. And reselling is a little bit different. So reselling, you kind of do the work and then sometimes you have to wait to get paid, right? So he's always still trying to wrap his head around that. And, you know, having inventory and stuff sitting, it kind of starts to make him nervous. So if he lists 2 jackets and they sell for a full asking price, like right away, he's so super excited, and it makes him feel a lot better. Next up is not a thrifted item, but I'm just throwing it out here anyway, in case you come across something like this at yard sales, or you have this at home or whatever. But it's another, he sold one of these the other day, like last week, I think it was, or the week before. It's a nailer, Hitachi nail gun, and he had ended up with 2 of them. And I think I said on the last time that he wanted something different, and so he figured if he sold these 2 off, then he would just go ahead and go buy what he wanted. But he was surprised. He got full asking price on both of them. Well, maybe no, I think the last one he took an offer, but this one he listed it, and within a few days it sold for about $215. This hat might look familiar. We did sell it before, and it came back to us. Anyway, the buyer just wasn't happy with it. It's something to do with when he was wearing it hunting, it was too hot. So I don't even want to try to explain that, but too bright, I'm assuming, or too, I don't know. He couldn't hide very well with, don't even ask me. I should just like delete that part because I don't even understand hunting. So anyway, he said it was hot. My husband knew what he was talking about. And so he sent it back, and he had to send it back on his own dime and everything. It wasn't that it wasn't as described. It just wasn't going to work for him. So we just relisted it, and it sold again within a couple days. Something to do with heat register. Does that make sense? Night vision. I don't know. I didn't know that deer, well, I guess deer do have night vision, but I'm probably just making it worse by talking. So one size fits most. It was Cabela's, and this was a hat that we picked up at our outlet store, the little bins, and it was sitting, I remember when I went, they had just put it out, it was sitting right on top. There's nothing wrong with it, it's super clean. And then this is a t-shirt I had listed for a very, very long time. I picked it up at a yard sale probably 2 years ago. It's been listed a long time. And somehow it just kind of made it through, like we didn't go through inventory. Like the last time we went through inventory, we were like, I guess we'll just leave it listed and everything. It wasn't necessarily, it was vintage, but not super vintage. You know, it's not made in the USA or anything. I just thought the graphic was kind of cool, and I paid $1 at a yard sale. So it did eventually sell for the full asking price of, nope, for an offer of $15. I think we were just happy to get the offer, to send the offer, get the offer, whatever it was, somebody accepted it. Next up is a sheet, another thing that I got an offer, or a woman messaged me and asked if I would take anything lower, so I went ahead and sent her an offer for $18, and she took that. When I picked this up at the thrift store, I had looked at comps, and I think a fitted sheet in this color had sold pretty well. And so I thought, oh, somebody's going to want orange. But then it sat for quite a while. So anyway, it sold for $18, and we moved it on to a new home. And that's it for eBay. Let's hop over to Posh. This was a Hard Rock Cafe. It was a new in the plastic kind of souvenir shirt. It was for Athens, Greece. Hard Rock Cafe. I showed this in one of my haul videos from our road trip, and we picked it up for about $3. It sold for $20, so you know, nothing super exciting to write home about, but just something that I had a feeling that because it was new and hadn't been worn, it would probably do better than, you know, just picking up a used one. I don't pick up a whole lot of Hard Rock Cafe stuff anymore. I used to when I first started reselling 15, 16 years ago, and now I don't. And if I do, it's usually things that are not in the United States. Here's another brand that I probably will not pick up anymore. It would just have to be the right piece, but it's kind of one of those brands. I should say what it is. It's Sundance. And it's one of those brands that I kept hearing other resellers talk about, especially women's clothing resellers and YouTubers, and they'd be like, oh, Sundance, and they were so excited about it. And I have like the hardest time selling it. So it's something about, some people can sell brands that other people can't sell. And this did sell, but it only sold for $15. So I just think I got caught up in it's Sundance, it must be good. But I don't know, it's not worth it to me. So I have passed on it since then. But, it would have to be maybe a more substantial piece for me to think about picking it up again. I sold a Starbucks mug. This is a 2017 Been There, part of the Been There series for California. It sold also for $15. Then this was a pair of coveralls by Walls, not generally a brand. I come across it fairly often in Montana. It's a workwear company, as you can see. Not, anything super special. I don't look for it or anything, but this was, I think, part of a yard sale, our friend's yard sale leftovers that we cleared out for her. And so my husband got these listed and they sold for $50. And a pair of Levi's that I'm not even going to spend a whole lot of time on because I am not even sure if I must not have done very good research on them. Levi's Strong. It was a Western fit denim jeans, but I don't know. There was not a whole lot of interest in these, and these were listed for quite a while. So don't worry about you see something that's called Levi's Strong. I don't even want to tell you too much about it because it didn't really sell that much. It says it right here on the thing. Levi's Strong. Okay, but the Western fit, it didn't really help. Size, they were kind of short. That probably had something to do with it. They finally sold for $17. And then Nike, it's another sale of my disappointment. I thought that this windbreaker would be awesome. I just thought someone is going to love this and going to want it. I think I showed it in a haul months ago. But, you unzip the little pouchy pocket, it says Nike inside. It's plaid, it's orange, it's blue. I just thought it had some kind of Y2K, maybe 90s vibe to it. But nothing. I was wrong. $20. Move it out. Now the next two went to the same buyer. The next two shirts that I'm going to show you, they're Wrangler. So there was this plaid Western shirt. And then this Western shirt was a very heavy-duty, thick material Western shirt. So this one, I have it listed at $80, and I had this one at $25. $80 was super high. I was kind of going off the popularity of the brush popper Wrangler Western shirts, which I thought maybe this fell into that category, but it did not. The inside of the brush popper shirts is a solid color. And so this one I knew still had value because it has that classic 90s bold color striping or pastels or whatever. And so the buyer we went back and forth, and I ended up selling both those shirts for $60 to her, which was fine with me. This one, nothing super special about it. I can find plaid Western shirts here like every other day. But this one was kind of the special one. So I kind of view it as, you know, most of the value was in this shirt. Here's a name, Brioni, that you need to, if you want to sell men's clothing, is a good one to remember. Brioni, you'll find it on neckties and I think suits and blazers and things like that. And it's pretty high end. This was just a plain striped shirt and it sold like a dress shirt and it sold for $50. This is another brand I'm not really recommending. The shoes, they sold for $35. I guess that's okay. It was called G-Defy Gravity Defier. They were in the men's. I thought they were men's, and then as we were listing them, we realized they were women's. I'm not really sure what the deal is. They're just like walking, running shoes or something. And it was so funny because the day these sold, I came across another pair at the thrift store and I passed on them. I mean, they were asking too much for what I knew. Like I knew these were in really good shape and they just sold for $35. So I wasn't going to pay $10 or $15 or whatever it was that the thrift store wanted. But it was just funny to kind of run across them again because I don't see them super often. This was a nice sale. It was a vintage polo Ralph Lauren rugby style. It's a long sleeve polo, so it wasn't full on rugby with like the padded quilted part and everything and the elbow patches, but just kind of a long sleeve polo. It did have the placket that a lot of rugby shirts do. And it was made in Hong Kong. So definitely vintage, just solid red, and it sold for $40. And the long denim skirts are still doing pretty well. The Y2K 90s fad thing is still going. This one seemed to be a popular Y2K style or skirt by Gap. Like people kind of were, you know, it seemed like they were looking for it. It's a straight skirt. It had a front slit. It has a front slit right here. The pockets, it's flat front, so there's just these two slit pockets right here. And this one was a size 10, so that was pretty good. And it had a date on it of fall 2000, so it was full on Y2K. And that sold for $40 as well. Beta brand is another brand that used to have a moment, the pants especially. The pants are super soft and comfortable, but they look like pants you can wear to the office. So I came across this blazer by Beta brand and I was like, I knew the pants had been selling super well and certain ones still do. Not as high as they used to, but still will move. And I thought, well, let me check the blazers. And so I looked those up and they seem to sell pretty solid. So I found this one and a gray one. This one ended up selling. I haven't even listed the gray ones. Somehow they got separated. So I do know where the other one is. I need to get that one listed while I still have a listing that I can just copy. That would be great. And the last thing for the week on Poshmark were these Peter Millar. Like I said last week, it's not a reselling week if I don't sell Peter Millar. Although I don't think I have anything else listed. I think this might be it, unless I have some shorts listed. But we're getting out of golf season, so for the most part, so I don't know. I'll have to stock up over the winter and get ready for next spring. But these were new with tags. They're pinstriped. I did find like the catalog page that I found them on and everything. So that was kind of fun. But anyway, these also sold for $40. Let's hop over to Ruby Lane and talk about some vintage. I sold some more flatware. This time it's silver plated and Queen Bess. It's kind of a fairly common Oneida community pattern. And like I said, it's silver plated. I had a whole set, and I ended up splitting them up. So I've sold like different parts out of it. I think I sold some teaspoons, I sold the knives, and now I've sold the salad forks. So definitely making more money by splitting them up this way. And the other Ruby Lane sale for the week was this fun mug, Love Me, I'm Swedish, sold for $15. Then over on Etsy, I had 2 flatware sales. This is one of my most favorite brands to sell in flatware is Laufer. And Laufer can sell for big, big, big money. Now, these are soup spoons. They kind of look like gravy ladles, but they're very unique. The thing that made these not worth as much was the fact they were made in Korea. So if you have Laufer that's made in Germany or someplace like that, somewhere, usually Europe, I'm trying to remember if Laufer also is like in Finland or I don't know. It might just be Germany. But anyway, the point is a lot of times with some of these companies where it's manufactured is important and will affect the value just because it usually denotes a time, right? So the earliest stuff is made in Germany, the later stuff is made in Korea or Vietnam or something. And there's a difference. People can feel a difference. If their flatware they have at home was made in Germany and you get the Korea ones, some people can tell the difference, some people can't. Anyway, so these sold for $5 a piece. And this is the Etsy shop I have that's dedicated to flatware and utensils. I have decided to let that one go as far as only listing flatware, trying to maintain a shop of only flatware. I just don't have the time, I think, or mental energy. So any flatware we get will be listed either in the other Etsy shop, like the main vintage Etsy shop that my husband pretty much runs, or it'll go on eBay where it'll do just fine. But so I'm just kind of like, the flatware's just sitting in this flatware store, Pish Posh Flatware. And when I get sales, I'm happy. Otherwise, I'll end up just trying to move everything over to eBay or something like that at some point. But I had to make a decision to simplify my life in one little aspect. It's bad enough I have the sewing pattern shop on Etsy, and I really need to get some things listed in there because I have, but I just have not had sales in there lately because I'm not consistent. So I do have to kind of get, get serious about some kind of real schedule. Anyway, this is the other Etsy shop, Metal and Tweed. That's kind of my husband's, originally his shop. And we had it geared a certain way, but we just decided, we've said it before, Etsy's not our favorite platform anymore. And there are things that do sell on it, and so we do want to maintain a presence there. But there are things that will sell higher there than anywhere else. But just as a platform, we just don't like it. So, and it's so sad because Etsy used to be my favorite. I'm not going to go into it right now. But my husband did sell this cool little organizer container. And this was at the bins as well. It just has little plastic drawers inside, but it's really, what's neat about it, a little bit different, is that it has a door that closes up. So he sold it for $24 plus shipping. He also sold this coffee mug, Otagiri. I always pick up Otagiri mugs that are this shape. They call it like a grand mug. It's a larger coffee cup. And this one actually went overseas. Where did it go? It like went to, it wasn't Italy. Oh, it went to Turkey, I think. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. So $18 coffee mug with the sea otters on it. Super cute. And the very last sale of the week was something that my husband refurbished or upcycled, whatever you want to call it. I talked about this in another video, and I remember one of you, I forgot to look up exactly who it was, but if you remember, you know who you are. Someone had suggested painting one of these Barbie pink. And so we did that, and that one is still for sale. But my husband did a couple other colors. So these are just, the brand is Learner. They're desk organizers, and you may see them at thrift stores, but they usually look like a fake wood, but they're plastic. So they're normally just brown. So my husband has sold a couple of these. He paints them, he spray paints, various colors. I have personally, he's done one in like an aqua blue that I personally use, and we've sold that color before. I think we sold an orange one, and then now he sold this green one for $30. So just kind of an idea for, it seemed like we were coming across these little mail organizers every time we went to the thrift store, and they're not priced super high, but there's a bunch of the brown ones listed. And when they sell pretty low, but just a quick coat of paint, and they sell for a little bit more. So just an idea I thought I'd throw out there. Anyway, okay, so that's it for my what sold for this week. It was September 25th through October 1st. It is October. Amazing. I love October. Anyway, or I should say I love fall. And I hope you guys are having a good beginning of fall. And as usual, you know what to do. You go ahead and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your best sale was of the week. Let me know how sales are going. And anything you want to let me know about as far as your reselling week went. As you can see, mine was kind of average. Nothing super like fun. But anytime somebody wants something that I found at a thrift store and I can pass it on to someone else and give it new life, that's always super exciting to me. So I will let you guys go now. I am tired. I need to hit the hay, and I will see you later on in the week.